The last thing my grandmother, Eleanor, ever said to me was, "Sometimes, the biggest betrayals come wrapped in the prettiest packages, dear." I didn't understand what she meant then. But I do now. My name is Clara, and last week, I watched my entire family steal my inheritance right from under my nose. I stood in Eleanor's Victorian house, the one she'd promised would be mine since I was 12, clutching the envelope she'd left me. The lawyer had just finished reading the will, and my mother's perfectly manicured hand was already reaching for the house keys. "Honey, you have to understand," Mom said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. "The house needs so many repairs. We're just trying to protect you from that burden." "Protect me?" I stared at her, then at my father, who wouldn't meet my eyes. "By selling it without telling me?" My brother, Ethan, leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Come on, Clara. You couldn't afford the property taxes anyway." The familiar scent of Eleanor's lavender sachets still lingered in the air. Just 3 weeks ago, we'd sat in her sunroom, sharing tea while she told stories about her youth. Now, here they all were, divvying up her life like vultures. "You can't do this," I said, my voice shaking. "Eleanor left it to me. It's in the will." Actually, my sister Lila chimed in, "Mom and Dad have power of attorney. The sale's already gone through." I felt the blood drain from my face. "What sale?" "We found a lovely buyer," Mom said, smoothing her designer blouse. "He's offered well above market value. The papers are signed." My fingers tightened around Eleanor's envelope. I hadn't opened it yet. It had arrived by courier this morning with strict instructions to wait until after the will reading. "Get out," I whispered. "Don't be dramatic, Clara," Dad finally spoke up. "We're family." "Family?" I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "Family doesn't do this. Get out of my grandmother's house. Now." They filed out, Mom pausing at the door. "We're meeting the buyer tomorrow to hand over the keys. You should come. Make peace with it." Once alone, I sank onto Eleanor's favorite armchair and opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a single sheet of paper and a small key. "My dearest Clara," it began. "If you're reading this, they've done exactly what I feared they would. But don't worry. I've left you something they don't know about. Something that will help you fight back. Check behind the loose brick in the garden wall, the one with the heart carved into it." I stood up, my heart pounding. Eleanor had always said the best revenge was served with patience and wisdom. Looks like she'd left me the recipe. The law office of Marcus Bennett smelled like leather and coffee. I placed Eleanor's documents on his desk. The papers I'd found behind that garden brick had kept me up all night. "Well," Marcus said, adjusting his glasses, "your grandmother was certainly thorough. Can they really sell the house without my consent?" He smiled, the kind of smile that made me sit up straighter. "That's the interesting part. Your grandmother added a specific clause to her will 6 months ago. The house can't be sold without your explicit written permission, regardless of any power of attorney. But Mom said the sale's already gone through. Which means," Marcus leaned forward, "someone forged your signature." My hands gripped the armrests. "What?" "Look at this." He pulled out a document. "This is supposedly your signature on the sale agreement. But the date," he tapped the paper. "You were in Seattle that day, correct?" "Yes. For work. I have flight receipts. Keep them handy. We're going to need them." Marcus started typing on his computer. "The buyer, Victor Hayes, is coming in today. He should know his purchase isn't valid. You really think we can stop this? Stop it? Marcus raised an eyebrow. Clara, we can reverse it. And whoever forged your signature could face serious consequences. My phone buzzed, a text from Lila. Mom's furious. You went to a lawyer? Says you're betraying the family. I showed Marcus the message. He shook his head. Interesting how they define betrayal. A knock interrupted us. Victor Hayes walked in, looking more worried than a legitimate buyer should. Mr. Hayes, Marcus gestured to a chair. Please join us. I assume this is about the house, Victor said, glancing at me. Your mother assured me everything was in order. My mother lied, I said flatly. And I never signed those papers. His face paled. What? Marcus slid the documents across his desk. The sale requires Clara's consent. This signature? It's forged. She was in another state that day. Victor ran a hand through his hair. They told me you'd agreed. That you just couldn't be there for the signing. They told you wrong, I said. That house means everything to me. My grandmother. I know, he interrupted. Your mother mentioned you were difficult about letting go. Said you were too emotional about it. Something in his tone made me pause. What else did they tell you? He hesitated, then reached for his briefcase. I think you should see these emails. Your family's been planning this for months. They were quite persistent about rushing the sale. As he laid out printed emails on Marcus's desk, I saw my grandmother's words in my head again. The biggest betrayals come wrapped in the prettiest packages. She'd known. She'd known all along what they would try to do. The emails made me sick. Mom had been shopping the house around to buyers for months, while Eleanor was still alive. Your mother mentioned there might be resistance, Victor said, pointing to one particular message. She said you were too attached to see the financial opportunity. Financial opportunity? I read the email's date. This was sent 2 days after Eleanor's funeral. Marcus sorted through the papers. Mr. Hayes, would you be willing to make a formal statement about these communications? Yes, Victor nodded. I should have asked more questions when they insisted on rushing everything through. Something felt off. My phone buzzed again, Ethan calling. I declined it. There's more, Victor said quietly. Your mother mentioned something about items in the house. Valuable things your grandmother had hidden away. I remembered the key from Eleanor's letter. Hidden where she wouldn't say, just that they needed to secure the house quickly before you had a chance to, he trailed off. Before I had a chance to what? Find whatever it is Eleanor left for me? Marcus gathered the emails into a folder. This is excellent evidence of premeditation, Clara. We should. The office door burst open. Mom stood there, perfectly coiffed as always, with Lila hovering behind her. Clara, what do you think you're doing? Her voice was steel wrapped in silk. Funny, I said, holding up the forged document. I was about to ask you the same thing. Care to explain this? She barely glanced at it. Victor, we had a deal. A deal based on fraud, he replied, standing up. I'm withdrawing my offer. Mom's composure cracked. You can't do that. We've already allocated the funds. Allocated? I stood too. You mean spent money you didn't have yet? Lila stepped forward. Clara, please. Mom and Dad need this. The business. What about the business? I demanded. Mom shot Lila a warning look. That's enough, Clara. You're making a terrible mistake. That house is nothing but a burden. Then why are you so desperate to sell it? I pulled out Eleanor's letter. What exactly are you afraid I'll find? Her eyes fixed on the envelope. For the first time, I saw real fear there. Whatever you think you know, she said carefully, you don't understand the whole picture. Then explain it to me. What's hidden in that house that's worth forging my signature for? The silence stretched. Finally, Mom turned to leave but paused at the door. Some secrets, she said quietly, should stay buried with the dead. As she left, Marcus picked up his phone. I'm calling in a favor. We need to get into that house tonight, before they try anything else. Ethan cornered me in the parking lot as I left Marcus's office. You're making a huge mistake, he said, blocking my path to my car. Mom and Dad put everything they had into this deal. Everything they had, or everything they stole. He grabbed my arm. Listen to me. The family business is underwater. Dad made some bad investments. I yanked free. So that makes it okay to steal my inheritance? Your inheritance? He laughed bitterly. You were always her favorite. Every Sunday dinner, every holiday, it was always about precious Clara. That's not true. No? Then why did she leave you the house? Why did she spend hours whispering secrets to you in that stupid sunroom while the rest of us watched from outside? A car door slammed nearby. Lila approached, her heels clicking on the asphalt. They're meeting tonight, she said, not meeting my eyes. At the Riverside Hotel. About the house. Ethan spun around. Lila, shut up. No, she crossed her arms. I'm done lying. Mom and Dad are planning something, Clara. Something big. Why are you telling me this? Because, she hesitated, because I found something in Mom's office. Documents about Eleanor's estate that don't match what was in the will. Ethan stepped toward her. You had no right to go through those papers. And you had no right to forge our sister's signature, Lila shot back. I stared at my brother. You forged my signature? He at least had the decency to look ashamed. Mom said it was the only way. We needed the money fast, before the audit, Lila cut in. The business is being investigated for fraud. They needed clean money to cover the tracks. My phone buzzed, Marcus texting. Got the keys. Meet at the house in 30 minutes. I have to go, I said, pushing past Ethan. Clara, wait. Lila called. The meeting tonight, it's at 8. Room 412. They don't know I know, but I heard Mom on the phone. Whatever they're planning, it's happening soon. Ethan grabbed her arm. You're going to regret this. No, she pulled away. I'm done being part of this mess. Eleanor wouldn't have wanted this. I looked at my siblings, Ethan, angry and defensive, Lila, finally showing her true colors. Thanks for telling me, Lila. But why now? She smiled sadly. Because Eleanor once told me that doing the right thing late is better than never doing it at all. As I drove away, I texted Marcus, change of plans. We need to crash a meeting tonight. Bring your phone to record everything. The pieces were finally falling into place. Whatever secrets that house held, I had a feeling we'd find them all tonight. Room 412 of the Riverside Hotel had a connecting door to 414, where Marcus and I pressed our ears against the wall. Mom's voice came through clearly, thanks to the hotel's thin walls. The audit team arrives Monday, she was saying. If we don't have that money transferred by then, we're done. But Clara's lawyer is causing problems, Dad interrupted. Then fix it, Gregory, Mom snapped. We didn't spend 30 years building this business to watch it crumble because your mother decided to play favorites from beyond the grave. I started recording on my phone. What about the paintings? A new voice, Victor. You promised there were valuable artworks hidden in the house. There are, Mom snapped. Eleanor, that conniving mother-in-law of mine, had a collection. Insurance documents value them at over $2 million. My hand shook. Eleanor's art collection? She'd always told me they were just prints. And you're sure they're in the house? Victor asked. In the walls, Dad said. Behind the wooden panels in the sunroom. That's why we need to move fast. Marcus scribbled on his notepad. Insurance fraud. The audit team will find everything, Mom continued. The fake invoices, the offshore accounts. Eleanor knew. That's why she changed her will at the end. Why she left everything to Clara. She was protecting the art. Dad sighed. Making sure we couldn't get to it. Well, she failed, Mom's voice hardened. Once we get back in that house. A loud crack interrupted her. Lila had entered their room. Mom? Dad? What's going on? Lila, what are you doing here? I followed you. I heard everything. Honey, this doesn't concern you. Doesn't concern me? You're stealing from Eleanor's estate, from Clara. We're protecting our family's legacy, Mom insisted. By committing fraud? Lila's voice cracked. By forging signatures and hiding artwork? Your father and I had no choice. The business was failing. Because you were embezzling money. Lila shouted. Eleanor figured it out, didn't she? That's why she changed her will. Silence fell. Then Dad spoke quietly. How long have you known? Long enough. I found the real accounts, the ones you hide from the auditors. Eleanor didn't leave clues just for Clara. She left them for all of us to see who would do the right thing. Marcus touched my arm, nodding toward the door. We had enough recorded, but I couldn't move, transfixed by my sister's words. I'm calling the police, Lila said firmly. Like hell you are. Mom snarled. Something crashed. Lila screamed, and suddenly, doing the right thing became a lot more urgent than family secrets. I burst through the connecting door just as Mom grabbed Lila's phone and smashed it against the wall. Get your hands off her. I shouted. Everyone froze. Dad stood by the window, pale and shaking. Victor backed toward the door. Mom still had Lila's arm in a death grip. Well, Mom said, eerily calm, the prodigal daughter joins us. Marcus stepped in behind me, his phone clearly recording. I suggest you let her go, Margaret, unless you'd like assault charges added to the fraud. Mom released Lila, who scrambled to my side. You recorded everything, didn't you? Lila whispered. Every word, I confirmed. The fraud, the embezzlement, the art theft. All of it. You don't understand, Dad pleaded. The business was failing. We needed to steal from your own mother? I cut him off. To forge documents and hide evidence? Victor cleared his throat. I think it's time I made a full statement about my involvement. Mom whirled on him. You wouldn't dare. Actually, he pulled out his own phone. I've been recording too, ever since you first approached me about rushing the sale. Something felt wrong. And now I know why. You're all making a terrible mistake, Mom said, but her perfect facade was cracking. Lila touched my arm. The paintings, Clara. They're not just valuable, they're stolen. That's what Eleanor discovered. What Dad's been using the business to launder money from art theft for years. Eleanor found out when she discovered one of her paintings was a forgery. Dad sank into a chair. Eleanor confronted me 6 months ago. Said she had proof. That's when she changed her will. I realized. When she added that clause about my consent, she knew we'd try to sell the house. Knew we need to get to those paintings before the audit, Mom said bitterly. Marcus was already on his phone. Yes, detective. Room 412 at the Riverside. We have multiple confessions recorded. Mom lunged for him, but I stepped between them. It's over, Mom. Eleanor gave me that house for a reason, to protect her legacy from people like you. People like me? She laughed hysterically. I built this family while she judged us all from her moral high ground. No, Lila said quietly. You destroyed this family. Eleanor was trying to save us. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Dad buried his face in his hands. Victor moved to block the door. The paintings, I said. Are they still in the house? Mom's silence was answer enough. I turned to Marcus. We need to get there first. He nodded. I'll call for a warrant. As the sirens grew closer, I watched my parents' empire crumble, built on lies, destroyed by truth. Eleanor would have been proud. The police found the paintings exactly where Dad said they'd be, hidden behind the wooden panels in Eleanor's sunroom. 13 masterpieces, each worth a fortune, each tied to a different theft over the past decade. Your father's business was just a front, Detective Morris explained as we watched the art being carefully removed. High-end furniture imports provided the perfect cover for smuggling stolen artwork. Ethan showed up as they were loading the last painting. What have you done, Clara? I turned to face him. I'm not the one who turned Eleanor's house into a storage facility for stolen art. They're going to prison, he said, voice breaking. Our parents are going to prison. Lila stepped forward. They made their choice, Ethan. Just like you did when you forged Clara's signature. The detective perked up at that. Is that an admission of forgery? Ethan's face crumpled. Mom said she promised no one would get hurt. But people did get hurt, I said softly. Eleanor spent her last months discovering her own son was a criminal. Her art collection was replaced with fakes. The business she helped build was a lie. Ms. Bennett, an evidence technician, called out. We found something else. Marcus joined us as they pulled out a metal box from behind the last panel. My heart jumped, it was the perfect size for the key Eleanor had left me. That's private property, Ethan protested. Actually, Marcus smiled, according to the will, everything in this house belongs to Clara. The key fit perfectly. Inside lay a leather-bound journal and a USB drive. Your grandmother contacted me 6 months ago, Marcus explained. She'd been gathering evidence, documenting everything. She knew they'd try to sell the house once she was gone. Why didn't she go to the police? Lila asked. Because she wanted to give them a chance to come clean, I realized, remembering Eleanor's words about love and wisdom. She was protecting us until the very end. Detective Morris reviewed the journal's contents. This is enough to put them away for a long time. Art theft, money laundering, fraud. Ethan slumped against the wall. I didn't know about any of this. I swear. No, Lila said. You just went along with it, like we all did. Until now. I opened Eleanor's journal to the last entry. Her familiar handwriting brought tears to my eyes. My dearest Clara, if you're reading this, you've done what I couldn't, expose the truth while protecting what matters most, our family's real legacy. Not the money or the art, but the courage to stand up for what's right. I'm so proud of you, my girl. As the police finished their work, Lila, Ethan, and I stood in the sunroom, watching the sunset through Eleanor's stained glass windows. Our family would never be the same, but maybe that was exactly what we needed. The morning sun streamed through Eleanor's freshly cleaned windows as I sipped tea from her favorite cup. Lila sat across from me in the sunroom, while Ethan helped Victor carry in the last of the restored artwork. The insurance company confirmed it, Marcus said, reviewing documents at Eleanor's antique desk. Once they verify the painting's authenticity, the recovery reward alone will be substantial. I don't care about the money, I said. I just want the art back where it belongs. Victor hung the final piece, a small impressionist garden scene, in its original spot. Your grandmother had incredible taste. These aren't just valuable, they're beautiful. She always said art should be lived with, not locked away, Lila smiled, running her hand along the frame. Ethan cleared his throat. Listen, Clara, about everything. I know, I cut him off. You're sorry. But sorry doesn't fix this. No, he agreed. But maybe this will help. He pulled out a stack of papers. I'm testifying against Dad's business partners. All of them. Lila gasped. Ethan, those people are dangerous. So is living with guilt, he set the papers down. Eleanor taught us better than this. The doorbell rang. Victor answered it and returned with Detective Morris. Good news, she announced. Your parents took the plea deal. They'll serve time, but their cooperation means we can take down the entire smuggling network and the business. The business? Lila asked. Being dissolved. But the legitimate assets will be returned to the estate. The detective smiled. Your grandmother's legacy is safe now. I walked to the garden wall, touching the brick where I'd found Eleanor's letter. She knew this would happen, all of it. She knew we'd make the right choice eventually. Even if it took some of us longer than others, Lila said, joining me. Ethan picked up Eleanor's teacup, studying its delicate pattern. Remember how she used to say, every broken thing has a story, and every story has a lesson? I finished the thought. And every lesson has a chance for redemption. Victor and Marcus started gathering their things. The house is officially yours now, Marcus said. No more legal hurdles. What will you do with it? Victor asked. I looked around at the art on the walls, the sun catching the stained glass, the garden beyond, at my siblings, broken but healing. Exactly what Eleanor wanted, I said. Make it a home again. A real one this time. Lila squeezed my hand. Ethan nodded, understanding. Later, as the evening light painted the sunroom in amber, I found one last note tucked inside Eleanor's journal. Remember, darling, revenge is sweet, but redemption is sweeter. Some families break to become stronger. Love always, Eleanor. I closed the journal, smiling. She was right, as always. The house wasn't just my inheritance. It was my chance to rebuild something better from the ruins of what we'd lost. And this time, we'd do it right.